thank my friend, Congressman Walden. I know the work that you put in when it comes to the health care for America. Mr. Chairman, I know of a bill that Mr. Walden has in to protect pre-existing conditions. We've asked many times to mark it up or bring it to the floor. No, not brought. It's talked about a lot, Mr. Chairman, but no bill to bring it here. I know your care when it comes to not just health care, but the type of treatment one is able to get. The quality of care out there, because, Mr. Chairman, there are people out there that will run health facilities for the seniors, but don't do a very good job. The quality is not there. People have lost their own health care within there. People have been fined by the way they've treated individuals and seniors. People have lost eyes just because the treatment had been poor. Mr. Chairman, we are here today on this floor because we all know that drug prices are too high. That's why Energy and Commerce Committee worked tirelessly to pass 3 health care bills unanimously to address them. Now, how often is that said on this floor? Not very often. It was a moment that I heard from almost every member in that committee, a moment of pride. We could have legislation passed in a bipartisan fashion today. We could take from that committee and bring it to the floor, and we'd have the exact same thing happen. We could have the Republicans and the Democrats coming together to lower the price of drugs. You know who wins? All of America. Sadly, however, these good faith efforts have been unnecessarily thrown into a partisan and senseless attempt to bail out pieces of the Affordable Care Act. Now, I don't say that, but I guess I just did, Mr. Chairman. I knew it because I happened to be a member of Congress. I watched it because I watched the committee work together, find common ground in a place that it's really difficult. But when I looked at the Washington Post, it was very interesting. This is what they said. They actually put it best. Democrats are putting a political pothole. Yeah, that's what they said. A political pothole in the way of real drug pricing reform. You know, if you ever spend time back in your district or across this country, I will promise you one of the top 3 issues you will get are the price of drugs. I think everybody in this body was looking forward to this day prior to the Democrats playing with political potholes. Make no mistake, the drug pricing component of H.R. 987 is very strong. The 3 drug pricing bills in this legislation get to the heart of the problem. The lack of competition in the generic drug market. Increased competition for generic drugs would lead to lower prices and make medication more accessible. 2 things I think anybody in America that they would desire. Just think for a moment. You'd get more competition, more choice, and lower prices. We were so close. We got out of committee. The members on both sides said yes. The only step you had left, go to the Rules Committee and come to the floor. But as you pass through that committee, to get to the Rules Committee and get to the floor, I guess it had to go through leadership. Leadership made a choice. Politics before people. These reforms would have removed barriers to generic drugs entering the market. Again, making health care more affordable for patients. It's a real change. That would have been a positive moment we all could have celebrated. But you know what's going to happen here? It's going to be a partisan vote and a bill that goes nowhere. It's going to be a pothole that most people will say, this is what elected officials are supposed to fix, not create. It is the opposite of what elected officials are supposed to do. They're supposed to fill in the potholes, not dig them. But if you read the Washington Post, they'll tell you exactly who created them. The Democrats. There's a lot of things that happen on this floor that at times are reckless, irresponsible, and just downright embarrassing. Mr. Chairman, this is one of them. Why, in a time when both sides say They want to lower the prices of drugs and give people more options. It actually goes to the core of the individual, of their own health. Well, it goes to the core of what the Democrats want to do. They don't want to make law. They love playing politics. But you know what happens when they play politics? Not do they just keep drug prices high, they break another promise. I happen to have been in this body, Mr. Chairman, when I heard those words, if you like your health care, you could keep it. I thought those millions of Americans who lost their health care at that time, that would be the end. But no, Mr. Chairman, the Democrats took the majority again. I thought that was enough. Had you taken enough health policies away from millions of Americans? The answer was no. They had a few more to go. 1.5 million, the Congressional Budget Office says. So think tomorrow when Americans wake up. There was a moment the prices could be lower, but no, would they ever think, and not only you're not going to lower them, you're going to take my health care away? That's exactly what's going to happen here today. That's the poison pill they added to the bills. 1.5 million Americans will lose their plan. Now, if you listen to the other side, they say, no, it's net neutral. You know what it is? The CBO says, no, it goes down to 500,000. I've heard them use the Congressional Budget Office thousands of times, Mr. Chairman, on this floor. I haven't heard them use them today. Because, Mr. Chairman, if you read books about politicians, if you read The Prince and you read The Machiavellian, it's interesting. The end justifies the means. That's what it says. You see, it's about control. It's really about who can control what you can have. There was a moment there that you would have greater options and lower prices. No. We will tell you what you need and what you can have. There was a moment there that you would have options even greater when it came to health care. No, that's not going to be. We're going to take that away from you. And you know what? It's going to cost you more when we do it. Now, Mr. Chairman, I would say I would be shocked that this was going to happen. I can't say I'm shocked anymore. Because, Mr. Chairman, on one side of the aisle in this chamber, half of an entire party, of the majority party, has co-sponsored the bill, Medicare for None. Not only are they taking more than 1.5 million Americans' plans away today, they have a plan to take more than 150 million Americans' plans away. They're going to bankrupt Medicare. They're going to deny you if you have a private health care now. But that's okay. The end justifies the means. Why? Because they have control. That's exactly what happened here, Mr. Chairman. You had a committee that worked in a bipartisan manner. It's really irresponsible that the Rules Committee of the leadership would undercut their own chair of that committee to put a poison pill on 3 bills that came out in bipartisan manner. In an idea that they would work in good faith. In an idea that they would put people before politics. You know, when you study history and they talk about elected officials, they'll tell you even from the most local places you get elected, the jobs you're going to have are filling in potholes. I never heard someone said your job as elected officials is create potholes. But that's what we witness today. It is a sad day for this House. We could do so much better. We did in committee. Is it just, Mr. Chairman, that the majority doesn't want to solve a problem? Because, Mr. Chairman, I've searched. They've been in power for quite some time, and I have not found one problem they've solved yet. I found a few potholes they created. I think we have enough problems. And when we have that moment that we can come together inside of committee, could we just keep it a little longer so it can get to the floor? But, Mr. Chairman, there will be an option. There will be an amendment on this body that gives you the opportunity. So if you were in that Committee of Energy and Commerce, and you voted on these bills without the poison pill, it'll be your moment of truth. It will tell a lot to America, Mr. Chairman, whether you serve your constituents or where you serve your leadership. That's what we'll be watching. That's what America will be wondering. And that's what we all hope will happen. I yield back.
The gentleman from Oregon is